Guys, this is Dan, and welcome to my review video for the latest episode of The Conners, Three Exes, Role-Playing, and a Waterbed. This is episode 9 of season 4. Usually I do these review videos within about, 6, 8, 10 hours after the episode airs, but I had mentioned at the fall finale back in December that wanted to maybe connect with you guys, the Conners fans, and thought I would do a live video almost 24 hours after the episode aired, giving people some time to watch it. I sometimes work on Wednesday nights myself, so I end up watching a lot of them on Hulu the next day. But, if people come on and watch, we will interact. If not, this will just be there on my channel like every other Conners video, has done so far. So, we were back after almost a month, or maybe even a little over a month of break. And luckily, we're going to get at least 3 new episodes in a row. The next 2 weeks, the 12th and the 19th, all have new episodes. So we can look forward to brand new episodes of The Conners for at least a couple more weeks, which is nice. They've given us sort of this choppy season so far, one week on, 1 week off kind of thing. So, but this episode was the return for, what they call the mid-season premiere. And let's just sort of break down the episode topics, I guess. So 3 Exes, role-playing, and a waterbed. So the role-playing is the, very minor portion having to do with Jackie, although that storyline sort of does go somewhere. So that isn't necessarily, a minor part, but just the role-playing part is sort of just played for a joke at the beginning of the episode, and then we move into, some of the more serious, incidents in the episode. And then a waterbed, that's a fairly easy one as well to talk about. That is Dan getting a new waterbed because, of course, him and Louise have decided to move in together after the marriage and then get rid of all of the old furniture. So Dan needs to buy a whole new set, debating on what to do. Becky had a couple of ideas for him, but he said, no, we're going to just get a waterbed because he wanted something cool, and nothing screams cool like a waterbed. And we actually see very briefly Beverly Rose in this episode, who we have not seen since she was a little baby, and she was appearing in the room, tossing and turning on the waterbed and having a good time. And I thought, wow, they've really aged her up. But then I sort of did the math, and I was like, no, she would actually be about 2 years and like 2 or 3 months at this point. So that actually is pretty accurate. We just never see her anymore, right? So it's a little jarring, but time-wise, it actually, the math checks out on that. And then at the end of the episode, the waterbed's involved there too. Dan decides to let Becky just sort of do her time on the waterbed, relaxing and even maybe meditating a little bit. And there was no joke to it. It was just some love from Papa Dan Connor to his daughter, saying, hey, listen, you deserve a little break, take some time, chill out on the waterbed, have fun. And that was it. It was a really sweet tag scene. They didn't really do anything too fancy with it. But all right, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. So the 3 Exes involved, I guess let's talk about Jackie's ex, or Neville's ex, really, first. Neville is Jackie's current boyfriend, and I really like him a lot. He's been around for almost 2 full seasons now, I guess, but he's Louise's brother. And so the first ex in question is someone that we learn used to be engaged to Neville. At the beginning of the episode, we learn, okay, Jackie is having this really sexy bedroom scene for Neville, but he comes over and ends up bringing this kid over who he's been taking care of because the mother has been in rehab, and that obviously kills the mood. But as we get deeper into that story, we learn that this gal, Helen, is his, not just, this friend of his that he's taking care of the son, but she and him were engaged in college, and so oh my gosh, Jackie sort of freaking out about that. She's played, by the way, by Andrea Anders, who I've been seeing recently in Ted Lasso. I've been catching up on season 2 of Lasso, and she plays Ted's, I guess, estranged wife. I don't think they're divorced, but in any event, she's in Ted Lasso. She was in another Ted show, Better Off Ted, years ago on ABC. So I love her. But so she, basically is looking for a job. Jackie, before any knowledge of their past relationship, says, you know what, give her a job. She's fresh out of rehab. Let her, or whatever. Let her, sort of spread her wings and give her a chance to shine here. And look, obviously they didn't mention this in the episode, but it must hit close to home for Jackie because, of course, her niece Becky, has her own issues with alcohol, and obviously they work together at the bar, so she knows that would be fine. But then this Helen shows up at the lunchbox and says, "Oh, thank you so much, Jackie, for convincing Neville to hire me." Da 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 da. A lot of people might be jealous that their boyfriend's ex-fiance is back in the picture. So this to me was maybe the worst part of the episode. Jackie, I think, went really off the rails with the jealousy here with Helen. And jealousy is a big motif that we're going to see throughout this episode. But she just was like, you know what? This woman is 20 years younger than me. She's closer to Neville's age and not mine. And they have this big history and I'm sort of new and this and that. So I in my mind, I think she went a little bit, wacky Jackie on us. And sometimes that can be funny, but I think sometimes it goes a little too extreme the other way. So unfortunately, we saw that part of Jackie in this episode, so didn't really love that, but it did give us the one and only chance to see Mark in this episode when they're playing basketball outside. All the kids, well, I guess we didn't see Mary at all, so, I say all the kids, it's really just Harrison and Mark, but we only saw them for one scene each, which is fine, because there was a lot going on in this episode, and by the way, we don't see Louise at all, but they would have filmed this episode shortly after Katie Seagal's car accident or motorcycle accident, whatever it was, where she got injured. So makes sense. We might not see her for a couple of episodes. They evoked her name, but she was not in this episode. But other than that, everybody else at least made an appearance other than DJ, Mary, and Louise. All right, so speaking of the jealousy, let's move over now to the A story here, part of the 3 Exes, because we've got a bunch of stuff going on with Darlene. So Nick, this guy that she's been seeing the last couple episodes, who, and you guys are with me in the comments, because, every time I talk about him in an episode, you're all like, oh, yay, Nick is so cool, like, we love him, we love them together. But I think a little piece of us is thinking, well, she needs to get back together with Ben. Look, J.R. Ferguson is obviously still in the opening credits. He appears prominently in this episode, so I don't think Ben's going anywhere. I think at the end of the day, they are indeed going to get back together. But, in the meantime, it's sort of nice to have a few other people in the mix. I liked the Brian Austin Green character as well. But no, Nick is a good dude. He works at the bookstore, or maybe he owns the bookstore. I kind of forget now. But in any event, he, is staying there. And him and Darlene rather are about to have their first night of lovemaking, and it goes just fine, I guess. And then we learn, oh well, the bookstore is really old and it's got some hardware issues. They need a fuse. Oh, I know, my ex owns the hardware store, but it's his day off. My dad should be there. Like, let's just go get the fuse. So they go, and of course, it's a sitcom, so it's not Ben's day off. He switched with Dan. So Ben and Nick meet face to face, and I think some hilarity ensues there because they seem very similar. They certainly have similar senses of humor, and they're sort of ripping on Darlene as she's right there, which is maybe not cool, but offered us some comedy. So they decide to meet up at the lunchbox and see a Bears game or whatever, and I didn't realize Darlene was going to be along for that. I thought it was just going to be sort of a guys night, but we get to the next scene and Darlene is indeed there. And Nick brought his friend Heather because he thought, oh, well, if it's just going to be me, Ben, and Darlene, it might be a little awkward. Let's bring Ben a gal too. So he brings his friend Heather along. And yeah, I think it's one of the funniest, exchanges in the entire season so far when Darlene and Ben are really just going at it about their past and their relationship and their breakup and, sort of the things that bother the other person. So it was a very funny exchange, very certainly awkward for anybody that would have been in that room and at that table. Heather, Nick's friend, certainly was not a fan. And Darlene makes some comment about, don't waste 3 years with this guy or something. And she's like, I feel like I already have wasted 3 years. Goodbye. Have a nice life. But it was a very funny scene. Great exchange. Solid comedy writing there. And all in character. I really did feel that Darlene and Ben would have been sort of sniping in that way at each other. So it was in line with that. And at the end of it, though, Nick says, look, you obviously still have some unresolved issues with Ben. I can wait around for a little bit until you figure it out. And then she really is a jerk off to him. And he's like, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to wait around. Goodbye. So I can understand that. And look, I think as much as Nick, we like Nick, but I think we knew he wasn't in for the long haul because ideally we want her and Ben to get back together. I think that's obviously where we're going. I don't know how long it's going to take. I hope they don't do a prolonged, let's wait, 2 seasons in before they get back together. I think maybe by the end of this season they'll be back together, but in any event, I think Nick is probably out. We won't see too much of him anymore. But maybe that means we'll see more of Ben in the meantime. I would like... If her and Ben do end up getting back together by the end of the season, I would like for her to do some reflecting and not just go to yet another guy. They brought up the Brian Austin Green character, too, about her inviting him to a trip to Hawaii. But, not that she really went to Brian Austin Green's character, but went from Ben to, talking with Brian Austin Green anyway, if nothing else, and then to dating Nick. So I would love for her to at least have a little bit of reflection time. But I do think we're going to end up with, her and Ben by the end of the season back together. So, all right. So let's talk about the episode on the whole. I've mentioned sort of some positives and negatives along the way. I do think the writing in that scene at the bar was great. Very, very hilarious exchange between Ben and Darlene. And understandably so, from all angles, including Nick's perspective with it. And then the Jackie stuff, I just think was a little, too over-the-top mean-spirited. I understand she, has some jealousy issues there. She's feeling a little bit long in the tooth compared to the ages of Neville and Helen. But I think she went a little overboard, especially... towards the end where she breaks the vase in the living room. It was just a little much for me. It wasn't very funny. It was, I don't know, a little over the top for me. But other than that, I thought this was a pretty solid episode. It was a nice comeback from the winter break. And I love that we're getting 3 in a row here. We're going to get 2 new ones in the upcoming weeks. And then I don't know after that. It's not listed yet, but we're getting at least a new episode next week and the week after. So 3 in a row is always nice. But overall, I enjoyed this episode. I always want to hear from you guys in the comments. I knew it was sort of a long shot that maybe a few of you would pop in while I was doing the live recording. So, hopefully I'll hear from you in the comments and talk to you about the episode there. But overall, I enjoyed this episode. I'm going to leave, let's get the name of it right here, 3 Exes, role-playing, and a waterbed. I'm going to leave it with a B+. I think it was a nice start to the mid-season, as they call it. But yeah, I would like to see Jackie reel it in a little bit, and I really want to see Darlene kind of reflect upon some things that maybe Ben had said to her in the last few months for reasons that he may not be, sticking around presently or what have you. He did mention he's getting a new place. He's getting out of living in the back of the hardware store, so that's good. But all right, well, that will wrap it up. Next week we'll be back to the regular, episode reviews. I'll have it up, within a few hours of the episode airing. But thank you for watching, and please do comment below because I love interacting with you guys. I was hoping to do it live, but again, I don't do live videos often enough for people to really pick up on, and I understand that. So maybe we'll do one. We'll try it again maybe for the season finale in a few months. Don't know, but thanks for watching. We'll see everybody next time on Dan Reviews It. Bye.